welcome, welcome. Look at me, only a couple minutes late. You guys know that is crazy for me. I'm always late. We just watched episode 2 of Happily Ever After. So we're gonna talk about what we just saw. I'm gonna wait for Dee Dee to join us. Dee Dee, you're texting me right now. You should actually be here. Okay. All right, Dee Dee, stop texting me and get in here. Hey, Portuguese princess. Dana, you need to request. Hello everybody. Kara's gonna be working late tonight. So we are unfortunately going to go on without Kara tonight, but she has to be back tomorrow because we do not want Kara to not be here. So unfortunately she had to work late tonight, but we're hoping tomorrow we'll have Kara back immediately. But we're gonna have a Dana, who is a friend of mine who wants to be a part of the podcast tonight. So we're gonna see how Dana feels about this episode of Happily Ever After. So hopefully. Hey.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I had a rough weekend, but I'm okay. You know, nothing that I can't handle. I'm built to last. I'm Ford tough. You know, I'm built to last. I'm good. I'm sorry, Dee Dee, you were supposed to be in town this weekend, so I'm mad at you.
Look, you don't know how hard I was trying to get down there, okay? I was mad. I was
mad.
Seriously? But I'm not planning no more. I'm just going to pop up at your house and knock on the door.
Oh, I mean, I don't typically like that, but you could come by. You know, you were supposed to be in town. I had so much stuff planned. So yeah, you need to get yourself here so we can hang out.
Well,
right?
I need myself there too because
where you been?
I want to go on.
Where have you been?
I want to go on some rides. All right.
Yeah, you need to get on some roller coasters with me.
I definitely want to.
So Dee Dee, this is Dana. Dana, this is Dee Dee. Dee Dee is one of my long-term co-hosts here on the George Mossey Show. This is Dana, who's a friend of mine who is going to be stepping in tonight for Kara because we know Kara has been working lots and lots of hours. Also, congratulations to Kara. She announced this week, last week, she's going to be a grandma and it's going to be a girl. So congratulations to Kara. We're so happy for her. This is going to be a huge deal, a big journey for her. But we're here to talk about Happily Ever After, right? We got to get on subject. So I want to talk about this episode. So we did get Big Ed and Liz and Riley, her daughter. And then we did not get Angela and Michael, but we did get some Jasmine and Gino. And wait, all of you come to my house? Wait, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Like, I'm not a house party type person. Maybe if we plan something, though. Maybe. Possibly. I could cook. I can't cook. So maybe. Let's see how it goes. I don't know if I want, like, every single person showing up. You know, like, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous. I'm not, like, one of those, you know, my parents are out of town, come destroy my house type people. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, I want to talk about this episode. So who do we want to start with? You want to talk about Rob and Sophie first? Because Sophie's mom, I've been a little thinking that she was a hater, but I'm beginning to think that Claire is kind of like a good voice of reason, because every time Rob does something wrong, instead of him apologizing and saying that he's not going to do it again, he kind of blames it all on Sophie. Like, he's like, well, she can't find her wedding ring, and if she really loved me, she would know where her wedding ring is. And I'm like, bro, if you really loved her, you wouldn't cheat on her like all the time, right? Like, you got to stop making it all about Sophie. Sophie is not perfect, but Rob, you are not perfect either. You have a lot of issues that I feel like you need to work on. And I just feel like he doesn't take any personal responsibility. It's always like Sophie's just being annoying and I wish she would just get over it. And sometimes forgiveness isn't about getting over it, and building trust isn't about getting over it. You have to show her in actions that if she forgives you and she trusts you again, it's not making a fool out of herself. And I think that at this point, I feel like Sophie is just waiting on her green card. She's over Rob. It's pretty obvious to me when she talks about him, she's over it. She just knows that the process can't end now because she's too close to the finish line, right? Like, it's a very, very close ending for her. And I feel like it's going to be important that she sticks with it, because if she doesn't, it's all for nothing. Because you see her mom, she found her little American man too, that they both have a plan. And if they don't stick with the plan, they're not going to be able to get the reward at the end of the tunnel.
I don't know about those two, though. I feel like that was a setup. I feel like her mom and her planned to come to the U.S. together and find these men and get their green cards and then whatever, because You see
But
how the
Rob,
mom like the love word this episode and all? She was all excited, like giddy, like a kid, and I don't know. It
but
just seemed.
Rob's an a-hole though, right? Like that wasn't planned. Like I feel like his actions are
But
pretty self.
some of the things he's saying, I feel like he might actually want the marriage, but she just doesn't because she's just not in it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like he does want to be married to her. I'm not exactly sure why, because he doesn't want to stop cheating, but he does want to make it work. And I think that this is a long-term decision for him. For her, she definitely treats it like, I'll deal with him as long as I have to deal with him until I get what I want. It's pretty obvious that she moved out for 2 months. Somebody who can move out for 2 months and not see the person for 2 months isn't very serious about making it work.
That's what
That early in the relationship.
I think Rob cares more about making it work than her, and her mom just planned to come here. And since her and Rob were talking, that's who she stuck. You know what I mean? That's who she continued with, stuck with, got married to. And now her mom found someone. They're in love now, and it's just like that's moving fast too. Like the mom and the other guy. Like I don't know.
I mean, it's very strategic. I don't believe that any of this was by mistake. I do think that Rob definitely has some issues that he needs to change if he ever wants to be in a healthy relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I've met women, they particularly dislike being cheated on. They particularly dislike being lied to, and they particularly dislike being made to be always the one who's wrong. I've met plenty of women in my lifetime, and the things that he does and says to women, it's definitely triggering. A woman is not always going to be the one that's the problem. And I think in Rob's mind, it's always Sophie. No matter what he does, she's just making a big deal out of it. And I think that he's got a lot of growing up to do. As a 34-year-old man, you got to learn, like sometimes if a woman is pissed off, you might have pissed her off. It's not always just her,
True. I'm starting to like Sophie's mom a lot more, and I'm starting to see that he is Rob the knob. I'm starting to like her a lot more now. And on top of that, Rob, as long as Sophie is at the house and he's getting away with his cheating, no matter when it was, how he's doing it, or how many times he does it, at the end of the day, he's still cheating.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't, see, that's kind of how I felt.
As long as Sophie is sitting there taking it, everything is fine. But when Sophie actually removes herself from the situation, then it's a problem.
Well, yeah, and that's why he's so intimidated by Claire, because Claire is a clear voice of reason. She calls him out for all of it, and she sits Sophie down, and she's like, "Oh, you were arguing. Why were you arguing? What did he say?" And she breaks it down, his toxic behavior, and she's like, "You have to see that he's the one who's making the mistakes. He's the one who's making you feel this way. And if you want to spend the rest of your life with someone who doesn't care how you feel, I can't support that." And I think as her mom, she's fully right for taking that stance. At first, I thought that she was being extra hard on him because she just didn't like him. But I'm beginning to think that if he was a decent human being, she still wouldn't like him, but she wouldn't be as hard on him. I think that Claire is just a hard ass when it comes to dealing with men. And for some reason, women who've been through a lot, especially with lying and cheating men, this is how they end up. They're very, very hard on men, and they don't take BS. And I feel like Claire has been there, and she understands it, and she can see right through it.
Well, I mean, she's definitely been through it. You hear Claire, Sophie say that, her mom didn't raise her grandmom did. And I feel like that's another reason why they plan to come over to the U.S. together. So, this is like a new start to their relationship. But I do think that her mom speaks up and is one of those people, and that she does want good for her daughter. And I believe that she doesn't think Rob is good enough for her daughter. But I feel like their whole plan was to come over here together and to start a relationship, because let's be honest, they really never had one. So yeah. That's what Sophie said. We relationship. So
we heard a little bit about Claire's substance abuse issues as well, which I don't know if we got more in depth in that earlier in the last season, but that explains a lot. The way that Sophie is so slow to give up on Rob, because she really had to be very
issues.
Exactly. Dealing with her mom's addiction issues, it makes you less likely to give up on people and cut people out of your life, because you really have to.
Issues in a way too, right? We don't know what's up with her dad.
Well, right. So
of both, you know, like the needing someone, wanting someone, not wanting to leave right away, you know, like that type of thing.
Yeah, I think that her attachment and giving people second chances is part of her history, like her growing up with her mom with substance abuse, not knowing if her mom was going to come home, not knowing where she was. You know, you're more likely to give people second, third, fourth, fifth chances, you know, when you've dealt with that type of situation. So I think Sophie has like a soft spot for forgiving people because, you know, let's just say it went a different way with her mom. Some people who deal with that type of situation with their parents, they don't talk to them. So she still has her mom in her life. They're trying to rebuild their relationship. So I feel like maybe she's looking at Rob as, oh, I can fix this relationship too. And I don't know if she can or not. I think that Rob has his own issues, right? I feel like Rob definitely has issues outside of the realm of the things that they're dealing with. I think Rob should go to like counseling to just handle his issues alone. You know how there's couples counseling and then there's like individual. I think he has individual things that he needs to work on because he's always looking for gratification from other women. And it's like, that's fine if you're single and you're not married, you know? And I think that his issues with his self-esteem and his self-value is something that he's got to work on, because just because you don't have people constantly saying that they want you doesn't mean that you're not desirable, you know? And I feel like he's missing that situation with himself. He feels like if there isn't a woman in his DM saying how much she would want to be with him, then he's not gratified into believing that he's still got it, you know? And I think that being a married man, you have to understand that you can't entertain every woman that is in your DM. I mean, honestly, close your DMs at this point. You're married, right?
Yeah, like Sophie said, that it's just like he's addicted to porn.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And it's like he's addicted to porn, but the difference between it is it's porn of actual people. And I think what is making it worse, you know, watching porn is different than asking a person to send you pornography or whatever you want, explicit
Have like
video.
a couple issues, and like that might be the main one, you know, like porn, but then cheating, like, you know what I mean? Like obviously, like like you said, he needs individual. Like there's more. I think there's more than one issue there, but
Yeah.
he doesn't want to make it seem like it's what girl wants to make it seem on TV that that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like that if
Yeah.
you're cheating, the porn sounds better than the cheating.
Well, right. And he always makes it seem like it's not cheating, it's just porn. But these are real people. When you watch porn, those porn stars, you have no communication with them, no contact with them. They don't know you. It's still bad, but it's not the same situation as talking to someone that you could call on the phone and, I don't know, potentially
No,
see them in person.
not because he's telling them to send him more pictures, and he's sending them pictures of his,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
just porn.
him,
I mean, I
you
think
know,
it's than one underlying issue.
the five sisters very often. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Why does he need that if he's married and has a wife at home? There's so many questions that I have because
Sophie, obviously, like you said, like she's obviously very trusting. Like, look at this girl. Like, she might be in a relationship with her. Like, they're like I'll lay in the bed with my best friend, but like we'll have each our own blanket, maybe like not under the same blanket like that and all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I think there's more to that. Like, and she obviously doesn't care about leaving that girl's house anytime soon. You know what I mean? It's not like a rush to her. You obviously heard her. She said if you know what I mean. If I move back in, I move back in to her mom. Like, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you saw how they were sitting on the tell-all stage too. Like,
yeah,
so.
everybody is suspecting that this never was resolved. And, you know, I tweeted earlier, I was like, she reminds me of a teenage girl. She can't ever give you a definite answer of what she really wants. Every time she's talking, she's like, I don't know if I want to fix this. I don't know if I trust him. I don't know if I love him. I don't know if I
Like
can make this
maybe
work.
she wanted to try, and like they need the money, they need the paycheck from TLC. Let's be real, to get out of that shitty place where they were with the bathroom outside, like, you know, like upgrade, like, so they made it seem like on the tell-all that they were together and everything was hunky-dory when really, you know what I mean? Now look where we are. So I think it's really just to get a paycheck right now, honestly, like until she figures out what she wants, because I don't think the girl knows what she wants at all.
No.
She told him she was bi, and then all this, and then boom, boom, boom. It's like fireworks. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think she knows what she wants.
She's very torn. And so I want to talk about Manuel and Ashley real quick because we found out a little bit more information, and he came up with the statement. He's like, if you don't ask me, then I won't tell you. You know, I don't know if you guys remember how that went over with the military, the don't ask, don't tell. It didn't go over very well. And I think that in a relationship, especially a marriage, he's under the impression that he has his own privacy and his own private life. And I'm trying to understand, where does that exist in a marriage? Because when you join together as one, your finances, your credit, everything, you join as another.
He's just playing her. I'm over them. I'm so over them. Like, he knows what he's doing.
So
you know what I mean? She's just dealing. I don't know why she keeps taking it, but she knows what he's doing. Like, either figure it out or go. Like, it's just, I'm over them. Thank God they were only on a little bit. I'm like,
it's really interesting because Ashley is like one of the best people of ignoring red flags. Like, her family has told her, her friends have told her, everyone has seen what's going on, and she's like, oh, well, we've been together a year, and we're gonna make this work. And she even said in this episode, it's been a whole year and there's no communication progression. There's no progression in the way they communicate. There's no progression in her being implemented into his life. He still looks at her as his wife, but also just to his family, she's just the person who's sending the money. And how do you guys feel about, she's never met the kids, she's been over to Ecuador many times, but she's sending money to support the family? Like, you're taking care of people you never met.
Would you do that? Would you do that? I would never do that. Would you guys, honestly?
George.
I don't.
How many times have I got to tell you? They're already in the United States. Me and Cars done told you how many times now? They're already in the United States. His not his aunt, that's his wife. How many times me and Car got to keep repeating ourselves?
It's very possible. And the reason why,
if wherever he lives, like, don't they have to get like he could be married to that spouse in that country, but then in the U.S. it's not legal, so then he could you know what I mean? And
he doesn't look as Ashley as his wife. Yeah, he's going to say things because the cameras are in his face. But what did he say? What did he say the day of their wedding? That it was a 20-year contract, and he's already been in this. He's already been in it for 10 years.
Yeah, and so would you? Okay, so say you both are single and you're entering a relationship with a man who has children. When do you think it's important or warranted to meet the children? Say he proposes to you.
Well, actually, that's a good point with Ed and Liz, because I don't think they should have brought her child in at all. And it's because their relationship is not, it depends how your relationship is, I think. And we have seen Ed and Liz like this. And when I saw her daughter, I was like, oh, that poor little girl. Like, she's going to fall in love. You see, she fell in love with him. She called him, like, she said that to, and I was like, oh, man, this poor kid.
Yeah, I do hate when children are dragged into dysfunctional situations, right? And let's jump into this Ed and Liz thing, because we found out that Liz gave up her partnership at Encanto, the restaurant, so she could move to Arkansas. How do we feel about women giving up things like their career for a man? Because you already know how I feel about it. I don't support it at all.
You need a mirror. Yes. I'm your mirror, baby. No. You look beautiful. Toilet, baby.
I don't have anything to say about Ed and Liz. I really don't have anything to say.
I mean,
like,
I think that Liz has a lot of things that she has sacrificed for this man, and I'm trying to figure out why. And then he said, before we move on, he said that they're underwater. So he moved her there, uprooted her life. She lost her job and her income, and then he said they're underwater in the bills, and he didn't want to tell her. Like, it doesn't get any worse. And I'm just glad to know the outcome of this situation. It makes me very happy to know that eventually she opened her eyes and she moved on, because I don't know how much longer I could watch her destroy her own life for the sake of another human being. If we want to call him a human being, he's such a terrible person. I don't know if we want to call him that. That might be too nice.
So sad when he said the partnership thing, like when you look at her face, she really did look sad. Like, it's not like she was smiling. Like, she looked sad. Like, I would never give up anything, man, or if I was a man, a woman, no matter what I was, I'm not going to give anything up for anyone. Why?
a relationship should be 50-50, you know, and if you are going to compromise, it should be on both sides. And it's sad because I keep watching her sacrifice, and then Ed just gets to do whatever he wants. He wanted to move them to Arkansas. He did. He didn't have to give anything up. He didn't have to change his life. He didn't have to do anything that would uproot anything that he had going on. But he has forced her time and time again to conform to whatever his choices are. And I don't like seeing women think that they have to do what the man asks so they can be in a relationship. You know, I just don't like that.
I have nothing on them.
I can't get anything out of you, Dee Dee. Nothing.
No. Next.
So tonight we watched Jasmine and her toe fetish. So she has a foot fetish, and we watched her sucking toes on TV, which, you know, we start to question what we're really watching anymore. You know, like, why are we watching that? But I will say this, I always consider Jasmine to be very high maintenance. So seeing her camping, I kind of saw her in a different light because, guys, you know, I can't go camping. I can't do it. Like, I can't sleep outside. Like, I saw a bug, like, on my front porch area, and I had to kill it. Like, so the idea of, like, staying outside, sleeping outside for fun, I don't understand the interest in that. You know, homeless people don't like it, so I don't think I would like it. You know, like, staying and living outside, it's not fun.
Me and Cara is going to take you. Me and Cara are going to take you camping.
What?
You've got to go camping with us.
No.
Little log cabins and stuff. I'm surprised they didn't stay in like one of those instead of like a tent. Like,
they were outside in a tent. It did make me see Jasmine differently because I was like, I assumed she would be in the Ritz-Carlton. They were literally outside in the tent, and they actually were intimate in the tent, which I thought was very, very disgusting. You know, because it's basically on the ground, and there's animals, and there's bugs, and there's the sanitary situation is big for me. Like, public bathrooms are difficult for me, right? Like, the sanitary situation for me is a lot. So that's
not legit camping. Legit camping is when you out in the middle of the woods, nothing around you, and you gotta do the all natural everything. That's legit camping.
Is that fun?
Yes.
That's why I don't understand why he didn't rent like a log cabin. Like, they have a little, you know what I mean? Like, why did you go to?
Okay, so when I was a teenager, part of the cult that I was in, they owned the campgrounds in Texas, and we would go there every year for like a camp festival or whatever for the religion. I did do that, but we had like cabins. Like, the bathrooms were communal. Like, you had to go like to another building and you could shower and stuff. That was a lot for me too. Like, have y'all ever tried to shower where there's like just a concrete floor? Yeah. And like you're supposed to that's gross. I have to wear like flip-flops. Like, how do y'all do this? This is a lot for me. Like, this is asking a lot. Using the airport bathroom is a lot for me.
George, I grew up in Mexico. Remember that, okay? So that stuff like that doesn't bother me.
Hey, Kobe. Kobe's here. We haven't talked about you yet, Kobe. I don't know if you want to stay. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that I forget sometimes, Dee Dee, that you grew up in Mexico and you have seen a lot of different culture than I have. I'm very uncultured in comparison. So I do know that I'm pretty closed-minded when it comes to like camping and sleeping outside and, you know, anything that has to do with water or swimming. We're not doing that. So I think that Jasmine definitely showed a different side of her because she didn't really complain a lot either. Because I was like, oh, she's going to make this a living hell for him because this isn't like something that she would want to do. But she was actually really nice about it. She explained her ovulation schedule, you know, about the kids. And she actually opened up to Gino about her issues getting pregnant, which he was really supportive about. She thought he was going to be mad. So how do you guys feel about that? She hasn't actually went to a doctor, so she doesn't know if she really does have issues to get pregnant. Do you think it's important for her to go to the doctor and figure that out, or do you think it's okay for them to try first and then go?
Whichever one is more comfortable for them. But we all know that she was making up all that other sex stuff because she just wants to have sex all the time.
Well, yeah, no one ever said that during ovulation you have to have sex multiple times a day. No, I've never seen that anywhere. That's not true, right? It only takes one time because I used to watch Teen Mom, and the one thing that I learned one time, that's all it takes, she pregnant. right? Like, I know that you don't have to have sex 3 times in a day to get pregnant. You know, like, that's crazy. And I know that she has made it very clear to us that she has an extremely high sex drive. So she's just trying to trick Gino into giving her what she wants.
Well, I think it's weird that, you know, she said it's so hard for her to have a baby, yet she mentions her one son. I don't think she has 2 children. I think the other child is her sister. I think she has one child, her son, because when she said it to him, she said, I had such a hard time. Like, well, if you have a hard time having kids, why don't you have a hard time with your other one? Another kid is never really ever mentioned. Like, I've never seen another. Have you guys? Like, I don't know. I think that something weird is going on, though. And
I
I
know.
think laid about the answer too. Like, normally Gino cares about stuff, and if he really wanted a baby like that, I would think he would care a little bit more. But maybe he doesn't really want a baby as much as they're making it seem. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no,
Because
I think that Jasmine doesn't want a baby. I think that, you know, in her situation where she's trying to get her children, whichever one it is, over to the US, I think having another child isn't going to help that. I think that she's feeling some guilt, you know, coming over to the US, and then come to find out Gino didn't put her children in the petition, children in the petition, which means that it's going to take even longer for them to petition them over, which brings me to my next question. Why was Gino working on the K1 visa application? He's not a lawyer, and I know that he's cheap. I understand that. But, you know, I'm also cheap. But, you know, if there's a plumbing issue in my house, I'm not going to try to fix it. I know that I'm not the expert on the job. If there's an electrical issue, I'm not going to do it. So why was he putting his hand in this situation and he doesn't know what he's doing? So now it's going to take even longer. The guy said up to 2 years, I guess is what he was saying, to get her kids over here. And even if she wanted to travel, that was 12 to 15 months, I think, right? Something along the lines of that. She could travel before the green card process, but still needed to wait like several months or whatever. And then we find out that her mom is having medical issues, which is making her want to travel back home. And I always said this with these shows, you don't really understand what these people are sacrificing when you leave your family to come over here and then you're not allowed to go back. Because there are situations where people have lost a family member or a parent and they weren't even allowed to go to pay their last respect. So it really opens your eyes to the situation that people are putting themselves into. Because I can't imagine leaving my family, going to another country, and then if they needed me, I'm told that I'm not allowed to go to be there. I can't imagine what that's like.
I wouldn't care. I mean, I would get on the plane and I would go. If my family needs me, sorry.
Well, you can go, right, Dee Dee? You won't be readmitted into the country. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, you can go back, but you would have to. He would have to reapply for her to enter the United States again.
Oh man, well, we know he's not gonna do that because he skimped on the situation, and I think another cast member, I can't remember who it was, said that they tried or attempted to do the K1 visa process on their own. And I want to say they screwed it up too. I can't remember who it is now. I bet you Carl would know. But I think that when you do something legal like this, a lawyer is needed. And the lawyer said it would be $15,000 or $5,000 to retain them for the petitioning for the children, and that would be like a 12 to 2 year situation. I think it's going to be fully worth it. And apparently, if he would have petitioned them in the beginning, it would have been a 6-month process. But you don't know these things. If you didn't go to school for this, you don't have a degree, you don't practice this law, how are you supposed to know that? You know, like if something is wrong with my car, I'm not going to try to fix it.
Say to him, like, you didn't Google it or something. Didn't he say that? Like,
well, yeah, he was like,
you didn't.
Oh, Google didn't help you. I think that was a dig at him for saying, here's, you know, for you thinking that you could do my job just because you have Google. You know, don't think that people who are lawyers or immigration attorneys just went to school for a few weeks. Like, these people went to school for quite a long time to get this expert position that they're in. And if you have questions, some lawyers, you can call them and ask questions and they don't even charge you any money. Like, the fact that he thought that he could go into this and do this all on his own is crazy, you know, and that just shows the level of cheap that he is. And I think that it's wild that he's so cheap because he married a very I want to call her high maintenance, but I don't know if I can anymore after she went camping. But I used to feel like she was very high maintenance. She demanded a lot from him. But I think that he's going to have to get a job, right? Do you guys feel that way? Because I feel like she wants him to buy a house. I don't think that you can buy a house without a job. Pretty sure any mortgage company is going to require you to have a job. And then in order for him to petition the children, doesn't he have to make a certain amount of money in order for that to work, to bring someone over? Without a job, he's not
You're
going
not
to.
working. You can't bring nobody over. You have to be making a certain amount of money.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that he's going to have to step up if he wants to make this work and do the things that she asked.
For her, for a certain amount of years, too, now that she's, right? She doesn't have her green card yet, so doesn't he have to, like, cover her, really, Jasmine?
Yeah, he has to pay for her, everything for her, housing, food, everything. She can't work until she gets her work status papers. And as far as I know, they haven't even filed that, right? Dee Dee, did they file that yet?
Yeah.
I don't think they have.
For who?
Employment
For
something.
Jasmine.
As far as I know, they haven't even filed it yet.
Yeah, they haven't even filed it, and she can't work until that. And let's be realistic. Do we think that Jasmine's going to get a job? I don't believe that she would. I know that she used to be a teacher. I do know that, and I respect teachers. You know, you guys know my mom is a retired teacher and principal, so I respect the education system more than anything. But I don't know that at this point where Jasmine is now a superstar in her own right, you know, that she's going to go out and get a job. You know, I don't see that at all. She's selling some protein powder. If you guys follow her on Instagram, she's selling protein powder for $40 that you can purchase from Jazzy Fitness. I wanted to get you guys' opinion on that. Is $40 a lot? I don't buy protein powder. I'm not like a gym person, but is that like a decent price point for a protein powder? Do you guys know? I don't know.
That's expensive. I get my protein stuff, and I can get like a week supply for like $6.
Did you
Okay. So,
the ponytail wigs that what is it, Jabari's ex-wife? How do you say her name?
Miona Beauty.
Yeah, with they're like, I think they're kind of cute, but like I don't know how it would look on, but I mean she did something with herself. I mean, good for her. He's a little, I don't know what he's up to right now, but he's on another.
He's been out of the country for quite a while, and that's a whole nother situation. Like, as far as I know, they're not together because she's with someone else. And yeah, so that's a whole.
Listen to his latest song on his Instagram. It's like about her and him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I want to listen to that because he's been very quiet about the breakup, and people want to know,
like,
you know.
Like, I don't want anyone to disrespect her. Like, he doesn't say anything rude about her. It's actually not bad compared to his other stuff. Like,
oh. I mean, I always thought that he was musically inclined. You know, some of the cast members, they claim to be artists. I thought that his music sounded like music. I'll put it like that. Some of the other stuff didn't, but I did feel like Jabri, some of it sounded like music. I don't know if you guys listened to the stuff he did with his band. It was not horrific, okay? Dee Dee is saying it was. I felt like it wasn't as bad as some of the stuff we heard.
yeah, no, I mean, this
I'll be nice, George.
it's like a lot of stuff too. Like he said, like he put his dreams aside for hers. Like his art, I guess, like singing is his art. You know, like so. When you listen to it, you'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I know that he was absent from social media for a while, and then he popped back up, like about a few weeks ago.
Chinese girl, but she was like with Pinocchio. She had a big nose, kept lying, I guess, something like that. I don't know. It's in the song.
You know what?
So that's probably why he kept going MIA.
Interesting. All right, so I want to get your opinion on Jasmine's situation. So, do you think that she should go back and be with her mom? Because remember when Angela was in Nigeria and her mom got really sick and her mom ended up passing away, and that's something that Angela has always regretted, not being there. So, like, how do you guys feel about the situation with her mom? Because you only get one mom, and you know your dreams are one thing, what you want to do with your life is one thing, but there's one person who birthed you, and that person is only here for a short amount of time on this planet. So what do you guys think that she should do? Because in my opinion, I would go back and be with my mom. Like, that's just, I was a mama's boy growing up. I'm still a mama's boy. I don't love anybody more than my mom, you know? So I feel like what is a good situation to put Jasmine in to make the right decision?
I would
Everything is
say with her mom doing the test and everything, but because like her sister slash daughter said, they're not saying that she's sick. They're, doing like the I guess like the yearly routine to make sure that nothing is going on with her. If it comes back and there is something wrong with her, then yes, I believe Jasmine needs to get on that plane and go back to Panama because, like you just said, George, you have one mama.
And can he come visit her? Like, can he go to
Gino
Panama?
is, yeah, Gino is allowed to travel.
Mom, travel and visit her, and what? It's gonna take 2 years. Wait another 2 years. Not that big of a deal. Like, no offense, not when it comes to that kind of situation to me.
Yeah, I mean,
It
we saw that situation
her best
unfold.
interest. It would probably be in her best interest too, George, because of the fact that way if she were to go back over there, then Gino could reapply for her entry and then add her kids.
But how long do you think the process would take to start over? Do you think it would be fast track
Yeah,
since she had
years.
Well, look, that one couple just said 6 months. It took them, and people were like all shocked at the tell. I guess it just
It
depends.
depends
it's
on the lawyer that you get, and it depends on how knowledgeable your lawyer is, and it depends on how they work on your case at the end of the day.
If she doesn't get another surgery and puts the money towards a lawyer, then they can, it'll.
true. That's true. Like all the money that she wasted on surgeries and stuff,
Sorry, her
that's
boobs look so, like, she looks so much better. She was so much prettier. Like, I don't like when they do that. It's like too much, like
I
overdid.
think Jasmine is to the point where if she stops now, she's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, she doesn't look natural anymore. She had a very natural beauty about herself in the beginning. Everything, like the boobs are too big, they look fake, the butt looks fake. She doesn't have the natural look, but she's still very, very pretty. I think this is the point where she has to stop. No more. Like no more. Like Darcy and Stacey, they went past the point. And Nikki Exotica, unfortunately, they went past that point, and then it was too much. I think Jasmine is right at that place where if she stops right now, she can keep and preserve that beauty that she naturally has.
There's something, they're besties, and something's going on with them too. She's not stopping. That's gonna be their thing, is getting surgeries and blah blah blah. She's not gonna stop. I know it.
Yeah. Jasmine and Nikki are definitely close, and I hope that doesn't influence Jasmine to continue on her surgery journey. I think that I don't know. It's hard to say what you want people to do because beauty, you have to feel beauty from within. You have to love who you see in the mirror. So it's never my place or anyone else's place to tell people what they should appreciate. But I just really hope that she's satisfied with what she has. She's in amazing shape. Her body looks great. She doesn't have any. Remember when she had to cut her hair, and that was really hard for her because her hair was something that was part of her natural beauty. And I don't want her to lose that natural beauty about herself. So I feel like once you get to that point of no return, you turn into everybody else. And then you're never satisfied. You're never happy with the way you look. There's always a new surgery. There's always something you want to do. And then it's like a never-ending cycle.
Well, that's what, there's so many more options now. Like what I was showing you, sending you, like there's options where you don't have to go that route, where you can, do like vacuum things and things that, like where it's just like her going tanning every month, like a tanning membership, like where she didn't have to do all this to her body. But I don't think she's gonna stop because they're besties, and I think there's more going on there. But whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna find out because we know they're both on OnlyFans separately, and
The only couple that I enjoyed watching was Kobe and Emily, honestly, because like they actually like are like a family, and like they were going to, you know what I mean? Like everything else was like just boring.
Well, Kobe and Emily, they have an interesting story because I know the first season, Emily took a lot of hits for when she brought Kobe back to Kansas and they had him working on the farm and shoveling poop, and they were like, this looks terrible, and Emily took a hit for that. So now Emily is heading to Cameroon and now she feels a little disingenuous, is her words, about going into his family's home dressed in their attire when she hasn't the slightest idea what their culture is. But I think it's more so a respect thing. So how do you feel about going, like say you're going to a foreign country for the first time and you're going to meet some people? What is the correct level of respect to show them? You want to show that you don't want to go over like Angela and say, I'm an American. You want to go over there and you want to be respectful, right? So What's the correct level? Is it okay to go over and dress in their attire, or do you think that that's too much?
Well, first of all, they have been married for a couple of years now.
2.5.
They've been in a relationship for a few years now. And she said that she still don't know anything about his culture. Why not?
That's true.
You going to marry someone from a different culture and be with them for a few years, and you know nothing about their culture. That right there is a red flag. That right there shows you don't care nothing about his culture.
That's interesting because she has children that are also a part of that culture, and I think it's super important to have dual cultures, especially in multiracial children. You need to, like, when there's a Hispanic or Spanish speaking person in the relationship, and then maybe a white or black person, it's super important that you teach that child about their Spanish or Hispanic culture growing up, so they are raised on both sides and they understand both. So do you think that they're taking those steps with the kids, or do you think that the kids are just living in Kansas and they're
I think
Kansas living the life? I mean, because she said that she doesn't know anything about the culture. Okay, so if you don't know anything about the culture, how are you going to teach your children about the culture?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that she wanted to be rude either. I think he needs to speak up because it's his culture at home and teach her more things. And like, they need to, you know, talk about it. Obviously, like, she's seeing that there's a disconnect because where you see him says, no, my mom, it'll be respectful to my mom if they said that. But to us, to the show, not to her, you know what I'm saying? So she's thinking as like, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think in their home life, he needs to just step up and be more vocal with showing his culture and ways to her, like, because she doesn't want to be rude, but maybe she doesn't know how to ask about it the right way, even though she does have kids. Like, that's the weird thing the kids think, because my kids, I would want to know, but maybe she doesn't want it to sound, because everything, you have to watch how you say anything nowadays, you know what I mean? So
you're right. And let's talk about how Kobe's best friend Valerie was talking about Emily. He's like, oh, this white lady. And I was like, it's so interesting how they refer to non-black people in Africa, right? Because in America, we would never let people describe people that way. You know, like, we're very sensitive with how we label people. Labeling people in general, we don't really like. So the way that they talk that way in Africa, and it's interesting because I have friends that are from Africa that I talk to, and it's very common for them to refer to white people that way. And I was just like, it's just interesting because, you know, in America, we're trying to go away from those terms and speaking to people as though they're not the same. You know, we want everybody to be human first. You know, not this is a white person, this is a black person, this is an Asian person. And it was just really interesting for me to watch that because it's so common in Africa to talk that way, because a lot of times, like, I've spoken to people from Africa, and even seeing a white person isn't something normal for them. They don't see a lot of white people, especially in those parts of Africa. This isn't South Africa.
Commotion. They wanted to rob them. Like, they wanted to rob them. That's why there was all that commotion.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that?
That shows you, though, that, no offense, she's clueless, because I even knew what was going on as someone that isn't that race. But when you hear things, when you watch the news, you know what I mean? Like, I even knew what was going on with that. And she looked clueless. Like, she really did. She was like, babe. Like, she had no idea what was, you know, going on at all.
What caught me as weird was how many different people they had handling their luggage. You know, when I travel, I would be terrified to let anyone handle my luggage regardless of race, you know, just because I want to make sure it all gets to the car, you know. And, you know, at the airport, they tell you all the time, there's a little announcements: don't let anybody near your luggage. Don't leave your luggage unattended. You know, be very mindful of what's going on. So I knew that they were panhandling, you know, just like when you stop at the stop sign at a certain part of town, somebody tries to clean your window, or they walk up and they have a sign. I knew that they were panhandling, but it was such an aggressive form, right, of panhandling. They were almost arguing with how much money that
she really thought. She's like, oh no, in their culture, like, they all, it's like, didn't she say, like, it's respectful if they take our luggage? Like, no, it's not. They're trying to take your luggage.
Right.
They're not helping with you. They're trying to take it from you. Like, that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
like,
I think for someone like Emily is very well traveled. She told us on the previous season how many different countries she's been to and how she met Kobe in China, and she's experienced a lot of different cultures. But when she got to Africa, which is pretty interesting because her kids, this is her children's culture and her husband's culture, she didn't have a lot of knowledge.
So many different parts of Africa, though, where she's traveled. It could have been all the safe places, all places where, you know, it's in a resort area, or that doesn't mean that she's not, like, you know what do you know what I'm saying? Well traveled, but she could just be inexperienced. Like, this is a different kind of, like, my aunt went to Jamaica and she was like, you do not go off that. Friggin' nope, we are not going off that, you know, like, that's just, and where he lives, that's like what you have to do, you know?
Well,
So
yeah. Cameroon is not where people go on vacation.
yeah.
And, you know, you kind of get an idea of it, of how far the place is from the airport, is how, you know, remote it is. Because I think we were watching the family Chantel, and the family flew over to the Dominican Republic, and they had got into a van and drove hours and hours and hours to get to the remote Campo site where Pedro was from. And I think the more remote the site is, the less touristy that you're going into that area. And I think you have to be mindful of that too. Like you said, there's some places that are very touristy, you know, where you can go out and not have any knowledge of the culture of what's going on around you, and you'll be fine. And then the more remote of the area and the country you go, the more research you need to do of what you're getting into and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and things to look for, you know, to make sure you're safe. You know, when I saw all those different people handling the luggage, the first thing I thought was something's not going to make it. Because I was like, and no offense to any race or any group of people, you know, but when you have that many, like, if you're moving, you wouldn't have just random people off the street that you've never seen before come and help you move. You would hire movers who are bonded and insured to make sure that everything is done correctly. So the whole situation for me was just a lot. So I was like, I wouldn't have so many people handling the things. There's no one to hold accountable. You know, there's no one to hold accountable if something goes wrong.
Exactly. I think that's why Kobe was walking behind them to make sure that everybody went to the vehicle. And I know I like how he handled it, so it didn't scare her mom and her dad.
Yeah.
He was acting like that's something normal that they do. You know what I'm saying? So he handled it very well. But if you travel a lot, I don't care where you travel to, even here in the United States, if you do a lot of traveling and somebody walks up to you and tries to help you with your luggage or whatever, don't do it. They're going to try to take that's how sometimes you get robbed, because you're doing stupid stuff like that. Yeah.
I travel all the time. If somebody walked up and tried to touch my luggage, we're going to fight. Like, I don't know you. You can't touch my luggage, you know, and I travel light. Okay, so the question that everybody was talking about on Twitter, and then Lori Beth just asked, why so much luggage? Did you guys feel that they completely overpacked? Like, why was there so much stuff?
How long were they going for?
Well,
they're going.
I want to say it's like
2 weeks, I believe. Yeah. For 2 weeks. That's way too much luggage for 2 weeks.
Kids, though, when you have 3 kids, you need like 3 outfits a day for those babies. Like, if they're, you know,
kids' clothes are smaller. Kids' clothes are smaller, though.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I don't know. There was a lot. You know, Dee knows when I travel, anything that I try not to put anything underneath the plane, right? Like, I want everything to be either on the overhead above me or in my hand, because I've had situations where they lost my luggage, or I was in Chicago and my luggage was in LA. You know, there was a lot of issues. So I like to have whatever I can carry. So that was a lot for me, because I was like, that's just a lot to even keep up with on your own. Like, you could lose your own luggage when you pack that much.
I know.
That was just a lot for me.
Probably like bring stuff there because it's probably, you know, that they don't have, like, for his mom and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, you know what? Angela did that. Remember when Angela brought over like a microwave? Because there's like certain things in certain parts of the country you can't buy them, and if you do buy them, they're very expensive. Like, if you go to Walmart, you can probably get a microwave for $40 or $50. But like, if you go to Africa, in certain parts of Africa, you're talking $300, $350 for that same microwave, because there's just not as many units available. They're not mass produced the way that we have them here. So it could be that Kobe was bringing over some necessities that his family could use. You know, we don't know what was in the luggage. So I guess we shouldn't really judge until we see what's in there, right? Maybe it wasn't all shoes, right? Maybe it wasn't all Emily's shoes. We don't know.
Who knows?
So this episode, I want to get a feeling of how you guys felt, because I know we've discussed how we weren't very excited for this season. So how do we feel? We're on episode 2. We got a lot more to go. How are we feeling?
Wait, what about your feeling on all the plastic dolls in Nicole's place with when she brought him in?
Well, the picture with the naked lady, that was interesting. I mean, I get art. Art is interpreted. It's in the beholder of the interpretation. But I know the Muslim religion, they're very, I guess the word is prude. It's to be done, not spoken of. You don't really talk about it. And I know Nicole is a very free person to express herself. And the mannequin, it was interesting, but I know that she makes clothes. Like if you were to come to my house, I have like life-size replicas of Chucky, his wife, Pennywise, Jason, Freddy. I have like all that. I have Jason's hand hanging in my living room. I have like a cut off severed hand from the Addams family in my living room. Like I'm a really weird, morbid person, right? So I'm not judging Nicole. I kind of felt like I'm not too far off. Like I'm actually probably worse than her actually when it comes to weird shit.
I
So
mean,
like I wasn't like judging her.
but I do feel like she is trying to like get back at him for making her dress the way she had to, like buying him those shorts. Like he appreciated it but got offended because like I guess like he's not supposed to wear shorts in bed, maybe pants, I don't know, maybe a whole outfit, I have no idea. But like I feel like she now just wants to like push his buttons and like get back at him for like the bullshit he put her through when she went there. Like that's what it's even seeming like from right now with that guest.
The comment she made, like "you're in America now," was basically saying you have to accept my way of life. You have no choice. And I think that's the reason why their relationship can't flourish. Neither one of them is ready or willing to compromise with the other's beliefs. And I think that's the main issue. And I feel like if you can't come to agreement with each other, if she has to respect his religion and his beliefs at a minimum, right? If she's not going to wear it and be a part of it, she has to respect what he does. And I think that's the minimal responsibility of her. And I feel like neither one of them are willing to meet each other halfway. And I think that's the main issue of why they can't see eye to eye. When he got there, he didn't look excited. He didn't look like he was happy to see her. He didn't look, and I felt like that was his whole demeanor the whole last season. Like they fight so much, they argue so much, they have so many issues and differences. There's no real excitement. Like, and love isn't enough. You need to have a little more than love. And I think they're a real good explanation of why love can't be enough. Love is not going to get you through the storm, right? Like if there's a tornado outside and you don't have anything on you didn't nail up the windows, you just got love, you're going to get blown out of there. And I feel like they're setting themselves up, and we already know they're setting themselves up for failure. We know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, it's kind of like watching a plane crash video. Like we know where this plane is going, unfortunately, and now we're watching the disaster happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%.
Well, okay, so we're gonna end this episode. We're gonna come back tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about the single life, which is part 2 of the tell-all. There's a little more to go. We're gonna watch Miss Karen and Miss Debbie.
Coming in hot.
Yeah, she's coming in hot, defending her daughter Chantel and her no penny wearing trip to Greece. So we're gonna see how this fight takes place.
Voluptuous herself. Well, I think
people are saying that Miss Karen had a BBL. Do you agree with that statement?
I think she did, because she was looking a little voluptuous up there.
She did. I remember Miss Karen was always a very curvy woman, right? She was right in all the right places. But now, when we saw her walking out, it definitely looked like there was a little more going on back in the back area, right? There was a little more going on. So, interestingly enough, how do you guys feel, last question before we end this, about a mom getting a BBL and maybe, following in the footsteps of her daughter or someone younger? Is that okay? Is it not strange?
I mean, if they go overboard, like, I think her mom had natural Like she could have just got like a lift. Like I feel like she got added to, something added to them at least. And if you're like natural, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But when they do like the double BB, like that's just too much. Like
Well, yeah, it doesn't look human after that. Dee, how do you feel?
Well, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Just not overdo it, because some women women in particular, some women just go overboard with it. I mean, just overboard. The natural look is amazing, no matter what your age is, because all women need to feel beautiful in their own skin. But some women overdo it.
Well,
And when you overdo it, you don't look natural anymore. You're just plastic.
well, yeah, it's not the shape that the body was ever meant to be in. You know, I look at Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion and a lot of the women that have done the overboard sizes, and I'm like, they're so beautiful, but it doesn't look natural. And again, who am I to say what their body is supposed to look like? It's not for me to approve of, but it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't look right. It looks altered. And I always felt like if you're gonna have a surgery, people should debate whether or not you did or not. They should say, did they or didn't they? It shouldn't be obvious, right? And I think that's when you do the surgery right. If people think you did it but they're not sure, that's when you did the right surgery, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't understand why they didn't bring Winter on the single life. Like, when is Winter gonna have her turn?
I don't know.
When is
He looks
why
good
don't we
too.
keep seeing Chantel? I mean, I like Chantel, don't get me wrong, but
She's
see Winter too.
wild, She's nice, calm,
But
Winter.
I think Chantel is pretty tame too. Like, this was the wildest we saw Chantel this season, right? Like, this was the wildest that Chantel has gotten. Chantel is a pretty tame girl, and I think I tweeted this a couple weeks ago. Chantel is a hard sell entertainment-wise without Miss Karen and River. You know, like, I never realized how much she depended on her family to be more interesting. Like, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's intelligent. She doesn't bring a lot of drama. You know, Chantel is a very drama-free girl. She's not going to physically fight anybody. She's not going to act crazy. You know, she has a lot of class. So a lot of times we were super interested and entertained in the show, but I think a lot of that was Miss Karen. Miss Karen was carrying that show on her back. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. It should have been the family of Miss Karen, because I feel like the storylines and the interesting craziness was brought on by Miss Karen, right?
Yeah, because it was mostly Miss Karen and her husband, or they were the drama, or it was freaking Lydia and Nicole. I mean, yeah, I mean,
All right.
We need to see Winter on the single life.
I agree. Let's start a petition. I want to see Winter on the single life. She deserves it. Winter looks amazing, by the way. If you haven't been on her Instagram lately, her transformation, just amazing. I'm so proud of her. She is beautiful. And most importantly, she has a beautiful soul.
Natural looking. She looks natural looking.
Beautiful. She doesn't overdo makeup. Winter is pure natural beauty. And I can definitely appreciate that. All right, guys, we're going to end this episode. Make sure you're following my co-hosts. I'm going to tag them both in this video. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, GeorgeMossey.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, type in The George Mossey Show. And I'm going to see all of you back here tomorrow night. We're going to watch The Single Life Part 2 Tell-All, and we're going to discuss what happened with that. And thank you for joining us. Thank you to Dana and Dee Dee, and I'll talk to all of you guys really soon.
Bye.
Bye.